Hi, everyone. My name is Q. I am the female empowerment and self-acceptance coach here at the Inner Brilliance Collective. And today I have with me a wonderful individual that I met through school. Her name is Alexandra Alexa. She's based in UK and she is a performance athletic mindset coach. We have done some work together as well. And I thought that based on the theme dedicated to March, productivity, self-trust, and time, it would be a wonderful opportunity for me to introduce you guys to her and to her work and to all the really impactful ideas that she has with how we can enhance our productivity and go from procrastination to productivity without getting extremely overwhelmed. So, Alexandra, welcome to Inner Brilliance Collective. If you can briefly introduce yourself and so our audience can get to know you, and then I have some questions prepared for you. So, the mic is yours. Please come in.
Thank you. Hi, Q. Hi, everyone. So, like you said, my name is Alexandra Alexa. I am a sports mindset coach. I'm working mainly with female athletes from strength sports, and I help them achieve their desired performance. And surprisingly, for many people that I'm talking with, it is not just purely through sport-specific performance techniques, but my work is deeply rooted in childhood trauma and attachment styles, and we work through that, and then we sprinkle the sports performance. And this this performance affects us in all other areas in our life, wherever we want to perform, being that at home with our kids, family, at work, being that you are employed or you want to build your own business, being that you want to perform in sports, not necessarily competing at high level. So now I'm taking everything that I have learned and my experience with my athletes competing at high level, and now in my Skool community, like you mentioned, the growth network, I'm helping other coaches perform at their best so that they can build their practice online. So yes, in a nutshell, this is me. I'm a performance coach and I help people overcome childhood trauma so that they can perform at their best in any areas of their life where they wish to.
Awesome. So before we get started with the questions that I prepared for you, Alexandra, I just wanted to remind all our audience that we are having an all-women session on Thursday, March 26th at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is Chicago time, where you guys are more than welcome to join. We'll be posting more about it in the description and, of course, on my social media pages. So you guys can get access to the event and become a part of it. And we'll, of course, give our audience some time to ask questions in the end when we do the live session. But I have some questions for you, Alexandra. So if you're ready, let's get into them.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
The very first question I have for you, Alexandra, is many people believe procrastination is laziness or lack of discipline.
Mm.
From your perspective, working with athletes, what is procrastination really about beneath the surface?
Yes, this is what we unfortunately like what people around us sees when we procrastinate, when we put things on the side, when we don't have the mental energy capacity to deal with things, it's seen as laziness. But in fact, it's a deep inner fear that we're trying to avoid. Um, Although I'm working with athletes, I'm teaching, I'm still growing and learning about myself. And it actually happened to me recently as I'm growing my business. I did hit a wall of a deep fear that um, I did not acknowledge through my work. And because of that fear, I have kind of completely stopped working on my business. And from my perspective, I was telling myself that I'll do it next week, I'll do it next day, next day, next day, which can come across as procrastination. But when this happens, we first step is to acknowledge awareness. It's the key in every change that we want to make. So as we become aware that we are just putting on aside and keep avoiding doing this task, being a small task or a big task, as we become aware, the next step is to ask ourselves, what am I afraid of? Fear, when we fear something, we don't fear that event. We fear the consequences of the event. So with procrastination, we fear the consequences of doing the thing. Now, the consequences are not always something bad. The consequences can be something good that gets us closer to our desires, to our goals. And we are afraid of achieving our goals. There's fear of failure and then fear of success. So we can fear, what if I'm doing this task and it's not going to be good? For example, um, if you know you want to start recording YouTube videos for your business to put them out there, one video a week, and you keep putting that on the side, it might be because you think that, what if I record this video and people will watch it and they'll think that I'm not good at all? You got the imposter syndrome coming up, right? In my case, it was the case that in a span of 2 months, my community and the work that I was doing with the people in the community grew up so fast. And my deepest fear, it's fear of rejection, being rejected. I experienced this quite deeply during childhood. So when I'm getting closer to a wanting goal, to my desires, to when I'm getting closer to people, subconsciously I freeze and I run away because
Mm.
subconsciously I believe that closeness, being getting close to our desires, being close to people, achieving goals, that means danger. So subconsciously frozen and then run away. I'm not taking action anymore. So procrastination, it's about acknowledging, being aware of when you're putting things on the side because you're avoiding a fear, because it's also a difference. We have the high achievement people. They tend to
Mm.
we tend to, one will look at the attachment theory, attachment styles. We also have different wounds. We have the wounds of rejection, abandonment, shame, betrayal, and the last one is I have a trouble with words. So the rigid one, when you are too rigid, you don't want to change. So based on the attachment styles, we experience different wounds when we're kids, and
Mm.
sometimes we, depending on our wound, we tend to take so much on our plate, to put so much on our calendar, to, the endless to-do list. Yeah.
Mm.
So we have to understand when it's a case that we have too much on our list and we don't have enough time to do the tasks. That is not procrastination. It's poor time management, poor planning.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
And
yes.
to acknowledge when I'm completely avoiding this task. I'm busying myself with so many other things that I'm
Mm.
completely avoiding doing this task. Yeah.
Mm.
And then to sit and
Mm.
ask yourself, what is actually that I'm afraid of by completing this task?
Mm. That is great. That is great. I'm so glad that you talked about this and you touched upon so many different points. Like you talked upon the different core wounds with the fears attached to them, and we talked about imposter syndrome. So hopefully, when we do our session, we can touch upon these little
Yes,
terms in much more details. But
yes,
this
yeah.
was a great answer. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
We can speak about the difference between the wounds because the attachment styles, the same attachment style can have different wounds as well.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Awesome.
nice.
Let's move on to the second question that I've prepared for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it is, how does self-doubt or the inner critic interfere with productivity and time management in ways people don't always realize?
Again, this is related to our wounds and our ego. When people hear the word ego, we think about having a big ego, talking about ourselves. But in reality, the
Mm.
ego, it's a part of ourselves that wants to keep us safe, and it's sending us all these different stories that protect ourselves from the wounds that we have created from our childhood. So our self-doubts, our one can you say again the question? Because I don't want to deviate from the question. Can you read the question
Yes,
again?
it's the one. Yeah, yeah. I'm talking about, how does self-trust or the inner critic interfere with productivity and time
Yeah,
management in ways people don't always realize?
yeah.
Self-doubt
So
and inner critic. Yeah.
so with the self-doubt, because you're doubting yourself, your ego is telling yourself, well, this thing is too much for you, so maybe you should not try it. Keep it, stay in yourself, in the comfort zone. Don't try too
Mm,
much. Are you sure you can do this? Are you sure you can complete this task? Your ego is trying to protect you by selling these stories that maybe it's not safe to go on the other side. And it feels like,
mm,
yeah, that task is too much. It's too big for me. I think I'm gonna go and do other things. Instead of telling ourselves that it's time for me to grow, it's time for me to try and learn the lesson. Even if I don't succeed, I'm willing to take the risk of trying to learn a lesson. If I succeed, good stuff. I'm moving forward. If I don't succeed, why is that so? And learning the lesson. So it's the
mm.
ego that protects us not to get harmed again when we try something new, to get out of our comfort zone.
Mm, mm. This is very true, and that's a very good question. I want you to know that in this month's theme, we're doing a different group coaching sessions, and the
Right.
second session that's coming up on Monday is going to be about inability to manage time well, and the third session, the third week of the month, is going to be on distress tolerance. So you're
Okay.
you're touching on all the points that we will be discussing in the coming weeks. So this is great. I'm so glad that we're having this talk. So let me actually move into the nervous system angle of this
Yeah.
particular topic. So, what role does the nervous system play when someone feels stuck or unable to start, even when they genuinely want to?
Yes. When we talk about the attachment styles, when we look at what happens during childhood, especially when we're babies, we have the connection with the mother. And that connection creates different neurological pathways. It's the chemicals that we have more or less, that we feel a lack of, and everything that happens biologically in our body. So as we grow up, our brain is wired in a certain way based on the attachment style. In certain cases, this comes down to the fight or flight. And
Mm,
when we look at the situation in front of us, it's the case of we freeze because we don't know what to do. Should I run or should I stay put? Should I fight or should I run? What should I do? And in that moment, the brain says, just hide yourself because I don't know if it's better to fight or to run. I'm not sure if I have the
mm,
skills to deal with the situation or I'm gonna make a fool of myself by dealing with the situation. So just do nothing. That's the best best way to do. So in this situation, it's the subconscious and automatic response that we get. Our nervous system is there to react for us without us thinking, because in dangerous, extreme situations, we need a super fast response that we don't have time to think and take the decision and make any decision, so that the nervous system decides for us. And in that moment, our nervous system cannot decide. It thinks that no, you can't deal with the situation being good or bad. Just stay there and do nothing and leave everything go past. Kind of,
wow,
yeah.
wow. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for touching upon that because a lot of times I feel like people don't understand if it's their inner resistance or if it's their logical brain truly telling them not to attempt on doing
Mhm.
the task, or is it the nervous system? So a lot of times people struggle with identifying
Yeah.
what the struggle actually is. So
Yes.
thank you for touching upon that.
That's why in this situation, it is very, very helpful to have self-awareness, to understand
Mm,
what our strengths are, what weaknesses we have, our abilities, capabilities. It's a case of going through this self-awareness. Most of the cases when we're doing a job and people compliment us, we're like, oh no, it wasn't such a big deal, or I'm not that good. In that moment, do the exercise of sitting down and taking in when people are congratulating you, and actually look to build on your strengths list. Look, what have I actually
mm,
done right? What skills am I building on? Once you're able to see your skills, your strengths, what your abilities, capabilities are, in those moments, you have like a tool of chest, a chest of tools, like you have all these tools, and it's easier for your mind to access them. Say, okay, in this
yes.
moment, I know that I have these skills, so I can deal with this situation. Yeah.
This is such a good way that you put it. I want you to know that whenever I'm doing group coaching work with my with all the folks that I'm working with, I always make them like I ask them to intentionally participate and say all the positive things out loud. So the next time the inner critic comes in, they'll remember the moment when
Yes.
in that, moment of discomfort, they had to share an achievement or something that they're proud of in front of other people, because that would stick with them. We
That's
learn through
mm,
discomfort. That's when the neuroplasticity happens. So
exactly.
this is
That's
awesome. This is
beautiful what you
awesome.
do. Yes.
100%. Awesome. This is great. Let me actually ask you this question. It's around self-trust. And the question I have for you is that how does chronic procrastination affects a person's relationship with self-trust over time?
Yes. So
Chronic procrastination.
yes, in the beginning I was talking about wounds that we have from childhood and the ego that is there to protect us. The more we procrastinate and we're not dealing with the procrastination, the more we are enlarging this wound. So, ego, imagine the wound, the emotional wound. Imagine we have like a physical wound. You have a big cut.
Mhm.
The ego is the plaster that we put over the wound. And it just, it starts getting like itchy. You get the rush around. Every time something happens, like small events, is like making your wound even worse. It starts getting itchy. You start scratching yourself. You're making it worse. But then you're like, oh, I have this plaster. The wound is getting worse, and you're like, I'm just gonna put a bigger plaster over my wound. But then it's getting worse and worse. With procrastination, we're avoiding the wound, and every single time we're not taking action, we are confirming our wound. We're running away, and because we're running away and we're avoiding it, subconsciously we confirm the wound. So that's why it becomes
Mm,
chronic because we are making our wound so bigger, bigger, bigger. And then to a point where we don't have the emotional um, ability, the mental energy, we don't have skills, coping mechanism to deal with our wounds anymore. So then the wound and the ego takes over and controls our next move, controls how we react to these situations, and procrastination just becomes like a habit, and we don't understand what's happening.
exactly. hmm
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying the wound is getting infected, and of course, that infection is the chronic procrastination. And in order for us to truly, we have to take off the plaster, we have to clean the wound, and that's the internal barrier, the limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
And then we basically make sure that we let it heal, give it
Yes.
time,
Yes.
and keep tending to it, and it can eventually heal.
Yeah.
So this is amazing.
And also remember that when you have a plaster over a wound, a deep wound that hurts, when you peel it, it hurts. When you apply whatever, like cleaning products, whatever they're called,
Mm,
it hurts. Every time you want to put your ego on the side, it's gonna hurt.
it's
You'll
gonna
not feel
hurt.
comfortable. Every time you're gonna take action to deal with your wound, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. It's gonna hurt. But you have to acknowledge that this type of pain of managing your wound, acknowledging your wound, dealing with your wound, it's the better pain to go through than to cover your wound and just to leave it there.
100%, 100%. This was a
Yeah.
great example. And I hope that this will resonate with a lot of people, and they'll learn the importance of, building the stress tolerance, because it's
Yes.
very important for growth. So
Yeah.
this is amazing. Awesome. Let me actually ask you the second last question,
Okay.
which is around practical shift. And the question I've prepared for you, Alexandra, is if someone feels caught in a procrastination loop right now,
Yes.
what is one mindset or practical shift that could immediately help them interrupt that cycle?
Like I
Like
said,
they know that they procrastinate, but it's physically, emotionally, behaviorally very difficult for them to break out of it. What tip would you have for them?
yes. So like I said, ask yourself, what is it that you're avoiding? What's the fear what you're fearing of? And most of the times, when you're asking yourself this question, your ego will come up again and will try to trick yourself, to trick your mind. Your mind is playing tricks on you, basically. This is what I like to tell to all my clients. Your mind is playing tricks on you, and you have to be smarter than your mind. You'll
Mm,
come out with superficial answers to this question. What am I afraid of? I'm just afraid that if I post that video, probably people will talk about my background or the way I speak, the way I look. Okay, but why do you care about that? Underneath that, what is it? You will know when the right answer, when you have the right answer, when you cannot say it. The more you resist saying it, you know what it is in the back of your mind, you know it. It feels like you want to say it, but you can't say it. That's what it is. That's your biggest fear. If you can say it straight away, your fear, if you can talk about it straight away, that is a superficial one. But the more you think about it and the more you resist saying it, putting words on it, that's when you know that's your actual fear that you are fearing
Okay.
about. And then, of course, depending on the fear, depending on from where it was, like since when you have the fear, how deep it is, and the resources that you have around you, is to have a plan in place how to deal with it. Don't try to write a one-page plan or two-page plan. What is one step that you can take right now about it to
Mm,
make a change?
mm,
Okay?
mm,
One small step because you also want to take it slowly to show to your ego that it's safe to move in this direction. It's okay. Nothing bad will happen.
mm.
Yeah,
That if the nervous system is dysregulated, there's no way that your thinking brain is going to come in and help you figure anything out. You have to bring yourself back to safety first in order for you to take an aligned action. So
absolutely.
this
Yeah,
is awesome. This is really good.
absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
great. So I have one last question for you, and
Okay.
then we'll wrap this up. And of course, the details for the event will be in the description as well. You can reach out to me or Alexandra separately if you want more info. But ladies, I'm really hoping that you guys would become a part of this conversation on Thursday, March 26th at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the last question I have for you, Alexandra, is
Yes.
what does healthy productivity look like, not from pressure, but from alignment and self-trust?
Yes. Now, healthy productivity. Let's put it this way. Let's think about owning a farm. We have a farm full of apples, right? This farm signs a contract with a big business saying that this year they will provide 10 tons of apples. Okay? They start the year in January, they water, they take care of the trees, the apples, and they grow it. Things happens through the summer, and then just before the autumn, they realize that, I mean, during the summer, they realize that they are behind. They will not reach the 10 tons production as they agreed on. Okay? What is to do then? Planting new trees? It will be impossible to do that. Um, Putting more and more nutrients to your trees will not do the job. Buying apples from somewhere else probably will not do the trick. They will realize that different apples. Okay? But
Yeah.
let me ask you this question. They signed the contract for 10 tons of apples. But in September, they realized that they have 8 or 9 tons of apples. The question is this productivity or not? They still produce 9 tons. They didn't reach the 10 tons mark, but they produced 9. They've been
It is
productive
productive.
through the year, okay? They produced 9 tons. They looked after the trees. They discovered that they have a problem that slow down the product, they reaching the 10 mark. So, what is productivity essential? What does it mean for you being productive? This is the first thing that we need to make it clear in our minds. What does it mean for me to be productive? Because we try to run at the speed that we cannot keep up with. We see other people online doing big things, but we don't understand how they're doing it. They might have a big team
Mm,
behind them that's helping them. They might have experience for a longer time. They might have been through things that we've never been through, but we only see the front side of it. And then we ask ourselves, well, I'm doing all this stuff, but I don't get the results. Are you doing it in the right
mm,
order? Do you have the right set of skills? Do you need to learn something else? Define to yourself what does productivity means to you. And
mm,
then, based on that markers, establish you're if you're not reaching the marker, saying that your marker is 10 tons of apples, but you reach 9. What is the cause? Are you shooting yourself too high up with the goals? Do you need to build more skills? Do you need to reach for help, for support? What is it that you need?
mm,
Why you can't reach that mark? Okay? Productivity is not just running, 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 running. Understanding why we run, where we want to run, what is that we want to achieve.
Mm.
And then you'll be able to see the distinction between healthy productivity and bad productivity.
And
Unhealthy,
also unrealistic goals and the black hole of perfection.
exactly. That comes as well
100%. This
because
is
that's maybe we can touch upon the perfectionism
yes,
in the session as
yes.
well.
Because I feel like that stops a lot of people too from truly putting themselves out there and at least testing their potential. You
Yes.
know,
Just to
the
give a
perfect.
just a brief touch on the perfectionism, it comes from our betrayal wound when we feel betrayed in during
Mm,
childhood, and usually we feel
mm,
betrayed by the parent of the opposite sex. So if we're women, we feel
mm,
betrayed by our dads. If for the guys, they feel betrayed by their moms. And the reason why those with a betrayal wound tend to be perfectionist is because they think that if they set themselves goals, if they sign up for a project, quitting on that thing is like betrayal. They're losing. They
mm,
said they would do it and now they won't do it. And they expect people around them to behave the same. If they said that they'll be at 10 o'clock in that sport, they should be there. If they said that they are taking on this project, they should completely. They are strict
mm.
and they tend to be perfectionist because for them, not doing the thing they said they do, it is like betraying, and they're just
A betraying.
hurting themselves more and more.
Wow, this is deep and this is good. I'm
Yes,
so
it is.
excited. Thank you so much, Alexandra. We uncovered so many things, and I'm so glad that you are joining me in this guest speaking session. I'm gonna send this email out to everyone that I know in my circle, and I'm really hoping that many people will join. Again, you guys can reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll be posting about this all over our social media, and the description has all the info as well. Thank you, Alexandra. I'm looking forward to our session very soon. And to all the people that are watching this video, I'm really hoping that you would join. If you want to bring someone in, please do. We will let guests in and we want as many people there as possible. Thank you so much for watching the video. Alexandra, thank you so much for joining me. And ladies, I'll be posting this video and reach out if you have any questions. I'll see you guys very soon. Take
Thank
care.
you so much,
Bye-bye.
Q, for having me. And everyone, I hope I will see you in the workshop. So take care, everyone. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.